So two quick, I'm going to give you a real life example, and I'm going to give you an out of the book example from the VA as well. So, and I know I'm rambling, but just to shed a little extra light. Then I'm going to get your take on it. Right, right. So a veteran has a service-connected heart condition and a 60% disability rating. She was still able to work until last year when she began to get chest pain when doing anything physical like walking or lifting boxes. Her doctor told her to retire as soon as possible. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Get a letter from your doctor, right? It's evidence. Stop working. It's for your health, period. Okay, they didn't say find a different job. He said retire as soon as possible. Just want to throw that out there. So her doctor told her to retire as soon as possible. She filed a claim for more disability compensation. We, the VA, reviewed her work and education history and agreed. So they're going to look at your work and education history and go, that along with your service-connected disabilities, does it all jive that you can't work and make gainful employment? Well, it helps with that letter from the doctor saying retire, tell you what. So they reviewed it and agreed that she was individually unemployable because of her service-connected disability. So we increased her disability compensation to the same rate as a 100% veteran. Okay, so that's that example from the VA. I'm going to give a fast version of a real-life example. Vietnam vet got out, never filed a claim with the VA for compensation until, 5 years ago. Okay, so a lot of years had passed. Filed a claim, initially got, I think it was 80% rating out the gate. Awesome, everything's great. He's, 80 something years old, and his last job that he had was he got a small amount of pay as a marshal at a golf course. Okay, and he quit that job, 6 years ago. And we filed for TDIU and they granted it. And he's 80 something years old. He quit his job. Well, he quit his job because he just couldn't work anymore. He loved being a marshal, but it was just too much for him anymore, right? Because of his now recently rated conditions. So, whether it's, and I'll say it jokingly, whether it's PTSD and I hate everybody, right? I'd rather just be away from people because they annoy me so much, right? So I'm just going to be over here now, and I'm going to do me, and that's cool. And if that's what it is, then that's what it is, right? I mean, the reality is that I say it like that because everybody's situation's different, and you have to look into yourself and go, look, I'm not able to do this. I got fired from the last 2 jobs because I just can't deal with people or whatever it is, right? And I'm leaning on that because I don't want people to think that it's purely based on physical ailments, right? So just throwing that out there. What are your guys' thoughts on that last thing? And then we'll wrap up this TDIU stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a bow on that with some information right off the VA's website here, because I think it speaks to exactly the example that you just provided, Jason. So, quote, the law requires different criteria for other government agencies that process disability benefit claims. The Social Security Administration, for example, requires a claimant to be totally disabled after considering age, education, and prior work experience in order to be eligible for Social Security disability. VA only considers service-connected disabilities when considering entitlement to IU, and those disabilities must be the reason the veteran can no longer be gainfully employed. That is a really big and really important difference that I think speaks
Huge.
to the example that you just provided, Jason. So you got hurt on active duty or whatever the case is, something happened. That alone is what the VA is going to consider, along with your inability to maintain gainful employment, to grant you IU. That is totally different, apples to oranges, from what, say, Social Security Administration is doing. And the reason why I'm foot stomping this here for our viewers is because in my opinion, that is an easier bar to cross as far as evidence goes. Jason, you used the example of the letter from the doctor, which is perfect. But you're not going to have to go through all this other stuff, considering age, education, prior work experience, blah, 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 that Social Security is going to require you to go through. So guys, if you're struggling, if you're having an issue, if you've done the things that Jason has recommended you do, you have that internal discussion, that discussion with your family, and you need to go the IU route, understand that the criteria is different. And in my opinion, it is a easier threshold for you to cross, which is what happened on active duty, what is service connected, and how does that affect your ability to work. That's it. Chris, I'll let you kind of sound off with your final thoughts on this topic too.
I mean, every time I hear you guys talk about this stuff, I realize how much I don't know, and how much I am blessed to not have had to figure all of this stuff out. And there's a lot here, right? And besides this channel, there's plenty of other resources that you could turn to. And I could imagine, and I'm kind of throwing this out to Jason and Randy as kind of final thoughts. It's hard for any one person to know all this stuff. And so just because you make a call to the VA hotline, or just because you go see a vet rep, they might not have all of it. They are going to share with you what they know, but they might not have all of the information. So if somebody's going to do all they can to understand exactly what their situation is and what places, what trails to start tracking down to get to the outcome that's the right outcome. Jason, Randy, what else, and where else should people turn to make sure that they have all of the information, not just on this topic, but all the topics that we continue to talk about, because they're just so either misunderstood or misinformed.
Jason, you want to jump on that, or you want me to dive in?
Sure. I mean, you could give your thoughts real quick, and then I'll follow.
It's a patchwork. So your question, Chris, is there a one-stop shop for information for veterans? And the answer is no. There isn't. There is not that oracle of information where you can get all of your questions answered, because everybody's situation is different and the law is written in generalities, right? It's not, if you wrote a law that applied to every single veteran in their specific circumstance, it'd be 1 billion pages long. So no, there isn't a one-stop shop. I like Jason's thoughts earlier about an accredited vet rep. VSO comes to mind. Check out, your local American Legion, your VFW. County employees a lot of times have this certification, but there is not a one-stop shop. And it's really frustrating because all three of us work with the veteran community. We see veterans benefits being missed. We see people not, being treated in the way that they probably should be. And that's why we do this channel, because there isn't that button, that magic dial on the wall that the veteran can turn on and just have information flow out. And it clearly explains to them what needs to happen to get all their benefits utilized that they properly earned. So that's why we're here, guys.